Hey, it's Terry Bean and Janet E. Johnson with another fun episode of Business Growth Time, where today we're going to jump into the new book Terry's writing. And sometimes Terry refers to Terry in the third person because he's like that. How you doing, Janet E.
Well,
Johnson? See
I,
any?
I I assume the book is going to be excellent. So there's the E word for the day.
Look at you. Look at you. Actually, it's gonna be exceptional and engaging and important for people. I like that. I can't.
Exciting. Well, it's
Yeah,
exciting that you're doing it. So we just can just keep rolling with these E words. I don't know.
that's it. It's kind of weird. I wasn't planning on writing another book.
Okay.
And to be clear, I've got three other books that I've started. You and I have a book that
We
we
did.
started.
Hmm.
Right. So I guess four other books that have been started, but this one was born out of necessity, right? It just kind of happened. And it was you know, we haven't I don't know, you and I may not have talked about it, but my daughter had some really traumatic experience back in October. Like actually shut down, couldn't talk, had, what I can only describe as a breakdown. Like, so we ended up taking her to the hospital. They tested her for epilepsy because, again, when she could talk, she was speaking almost like a mentally challenged 4-year-old. It was really, really bad. And it was due to some issues that she had had at college. A dude she knew killed himself. Her roommate, less than 10 months later, attempted to kill herself, overdosed on pills. And, the stress from those things builds up. So, I started doing what I knew how to do, which was share information about leveling up her mindset, right? I wanted to give her the tools and the ideas to, better deal with the anxiety and the stress that all this caused. And so I would just write her effectively a blog post and send it to her. And we got into about the 10th one, and I said, how are we doing? Is this helping? And she's fine now. It's the tail end of December, a couple of days before Christmas now, and she's so much better than she was. And so I was like, well, was this useful? She's like, you showed me so much stuff that I never learned anywhere else, that yeah, it's useful. And in the really big lesson in this for me was I model all these behaviors, right? Everything I talk about in this book, I do. And so she's lived with me most of her life until she moved to college. And so I thought she was picking up on this stuff. And after seeing it and maybe us talking about it a little bit, but it dawned on me, I never closed the gap, right? I never explained why having a positive mindset was so important. So I didn't give her I showed her the tools, but I didn't give her the why the tools mattered. So in essence, that's a little bit about what this book is about. So we'll dive more into that in a couple of minutes, but I feel like I've been talking forever.
No, it's good. No, you just, well, I know we're used, we're used to the back forth, back forth. No, that's a really good story. I mean, so basically it's from your life experience is kind of why you decided to do it. So it's very different. It's not just biz, it's not business tactic. It's on the, but I bet you it could spin into that as well, I would assume.
Absolutely, right? Because again, when you level up your mindset, you can use it in 87 different ways. But the genesis of the book, and who I think the target audience is, are those 15 or 16-year-old to 24 or 25-year-olds that don't have all the tools in their box to be able to, deal with the stress of everyday life. And so I just wanted to make sure it was accessible.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very cool. So it is geared a little bit more for, well, it could be geared to anybody, it sounds like, but kind of more for the lower age range. And they run into a lot at that age. They run into a lot
Well,
because, I mean,
it's
and we
yeah.
don't think about their stress like we we're older. We've been through so many things. It's probably a little bit different, you know. We look at that and go, oh. no big deal. I mean, she sounds like she had a lot. That's a lot. That
That's a
almost sounds like what do you call it? BDSD, PTSD. Yeah.
PTSD,
Is that what
post-traumatic
it
stress
was?
disorder. Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's exactly what it was, right? It was just the emotional triggers of everything, and more to the point, not talking through them, but bottling them up and storing them. And so, if we don't have that release valve on our lives, it's gonna get released one way or another. So it's way better to do it consciously than not. And
It's like
so
my
that's
marriage. My
yeah.
marriage was bottle up, and then whoosh, I'd spew all of a sudden.
That's exactly it though. That's
Yep.
really how it works, and it's unfortunate because, I mean, a lot of us know better. One of the chapters in the book, and I'll explain how the book's written in a bit, so
Yeah.
chapter's a misnomer, but, one of the sections in the book is systemic deprogramming, and what that talks about is your parents, right, and you as a parent end up putting some garbage into your children, right? And their parents did it to them, and their parents did it to them. So it's just kind of a constant thing. And, when we find things we like about our parents, we emulate those behaviors and we try and transfer those positive traits. When we find things we don't like, we either repeat the cycle or we take that pendulum and swing in the opposite direction. So, you and I grew up in a time where it was like, oh, you scuff your knee, rub some dirt on it, walk it off. My kid grew up in a time, your kid grew up in a time where you scuff your knee. It's like we gotta alert the press. We gotta make a big deal about this, right? We gotta do all these things to alleviate their pain. And so, it's interesting because both are a disservice, right? Neither one of those scenarios is particularly good, but pendulums always overcorrect. That's what they do, and they swing back and back and forth before they finally settle in the middle way. And so, trying to explain that in a way has been really interesting and important. And just making sure that the kids know that it's not it's not your fault, right? We go out, with our kid. We've been blocking and shielding them from a lot of life, and it's fascinating to me because kids these days, they know what's wrong, right? They know where their anxiety lives. They know where their challenges are. We weren't talking about emotions and stress and anxiety, or taking a lot of pills back when we were in high school. And now so many kids are just medicated from the get. Um, so they're aware of it, but instead of being aware of it and trying to fix it, they're aware of it and they wear it like a badge of honor. Don't do these things because I'll react in this way, right? Instead of changing the reaction or the response, they want everyone else to adjust to who they are. And that's not tenable. That's not gonna work.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, it's definitely a different society. I truly believe also social media. There's
100%.
I I'm obviously we're both very involved in social media, but there's a good and there's a bad.
There's a
And
super bad.
with the younger, I think it's like you and I are more like business and that kind of thing. And I post my fun stuff I do and whatever, but other than that, it's like and if somebody commented a hate thing on my stuff, which I've had like two, which is lucky, but because I'm out there, like, but I mean, one person, I don't like that girl. I'm like, okay, whatever, that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? But it's like, but I think at our age too and stuff like that, it's like it doesn't affect us anymore. But think if I was 21 or whatever in my 20s, anytime I would have been treated that completely differently. So I think that's a big thing nowadays too, and people get so nasty and so hateful on social media. It's crazy.
Well, what's wild is, with bullying, we have all these anti-bullying campaigns, and so kids aren't getting bullied in school. They just get bullied when they get home on social media for
Totally.
24/7, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's a section in the book called the highlight reel, and it's all about the idea that you're sitting there looking at your friends doing, or people you don't know doing, all these cool and interesting things and thinking, man, my life sucks. I don't get to do that or this or the other thing. And those same people that are posting those are looking at your social media thinking the exact same thing, because most people, unless they're drama seekers, aren't posting the negative stuff that happens in their life. They're not posting that they're sitting on their couch watching TV again, or sitting in their bed scrolling through social media. People don't post that. They post things that they feel like other people are going to be interested in and might get them some likes. So it's a really weird society where we're comparing ourselves constantly to other people, but we're only comparing the tip of the iceberg, right? Because that's all they're showing.
It's very interesting because I've even thought about that with mine. Because if you go through and scroll through my Facebook, all you'll see is fun, 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 fun. Like I've been busy, but you know the other side. Like, was 2022 a blast? Yes, but it was also the worst year of my life. So I mean, you add, it was a great side, but it was a horrible side. But do I post? I mean, I have never even posted that I went through a divorce this year.
Right.
Never been
Right.
posted. Like, I don't want, I mean, I've thought about it. Like, I've thought about, doing a post because some people are just like, they wear everything on their social media, from the positive to the negative. But then I'm like, I have this one friend that she's always posting about, she's at the doctor's office, woe is me, somebody died. It's like a constant. And it's like, you know what? I want to keep my social media upbeat, fun. People don't really want to see that stuff. And then, or they do, and then they get sucked in. Well, that person's life's worse than mine.
That's why some of those reality shows actually catch on, right? They're
Yes.
caught on, right? I remember that Honey Boo Boo show, which I don't think I watched 2 minutes of it in my life, but just
No.
conceptually, you're looking at where those people live and who they are and how they look and all that, and you're like, oh man, I'm doing all right.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
a weird situation. It really is.
It is.
So
It is. So and now TikTok, people are just doing everything and anything. One of the gal that I stayed with in Portugal just said she was watching this influencer, and you could maybe this is talked about in your book too, but she's like, why does she post everything, single thing she's doing, and she gets thousands of likes on it, she just is getting on an airplane, and and she goes, why are people interested in this? I go, I don't know, because she was on a reality show. So people follow her from that and that kind of thing. And then I go, and then she does all these posts so that she gets more likes so that she can now get um branding, or get a company coming to her so that she can be an influencer for that company and get paid. And she's like, this is so stupid and weird. I'm like, I know, that's like kind of our life nowadays. But so the influencer side of things, of putting everything out there, I think can be over the top too.
without a doubt, and it's too much, right? And I personally, I recently made the switch on Facebook from using my profile to my page. And I spend far more time on the page than I do on the profile. And so I started actually curating content and following things that I want to see, as opposed to just the randomness of the thousands of people that I'm connected to there. And frankly, it's my Facebook was always fine. I never had an issue with it. I don't have a lot of negative Nellies in my world,
No,
but it's just so much
I think you
better
got
because
shut down a couple times, I think.
what's that?
I said, I think you got shut down a couple times. I'm not sure, but
I haven't been shut down in like a year, so take that, people. And I kicked out. I've been a super good boy lately.
that's great. No, that makes a lot of sense. And that does actually, that's a whole nother tip. We could talk a whole show on that, but yeah, they launched where your page can follow certain things, and it's kind of nice to see that different feed. That was good that they did that, but I don't use it a lot. Some people probably don't even know about it, to be honest, but
Yeah. that makes sense. Way less advertisements too from the page, which is interesting.
100%. Yeah, which is interesting, actually. They should, well, not for long, probably they'll figure that
Yeah,
one out.
they can we edit this part out so they don't hear it and go, man, we're missing the mark.
That's great. Okay, so social media obviously is brought up in the book and how that affects, I would assume, how that affects
Yeah.
people. So what other topics, what else in the book?
So let me explain how the book's written first, and
Okay,
then I'll tell you. I've got the list of the topics written
okay,
from right here. So I wrote this, as I mentioned. It started as basically a series of blog posts, and so each section is really just a thought starter to get you looking at life in a little different way. And so the idea was, if you don't know about this stuff, these are things that you should probably take a little deeper study on. And so each section's maybe a page, two tops, and there's 31 sections. So the idea is that over the course of the month, you can totally level up your mindset. And similar to how I wrote my first book, the idea being that you could just open any page, read something pretty quickly for 2 or 3 minutes, and then get back to what you were doing. This time, though, this is going to have a more journalistic feel to it. I partnered with a lady out of Peru to write this with me. And so she's doing some activities and some exercises and some question answer asking. So the ability to kind of write down your thoughts so you can actually build your own roadmap to be able to deal with whatever strife comes your way moving forward. So I'm really excited about the interactive nature of this, because I think it's going to be important, and I think it's going to help personalize it to the reader. And of course, that we're on a topic where I think it needs further explanation. I'll be referring to a lot of different people, a lot of different books, a lot of different podcasts and shows that will help people take that deeper dive. So that dive can be, you have to go deeper into you and get some of the answers that are relevant for you, or you can go external and find some more information or research on that particular topic, so it gives you a better understanding.
interesting. Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me the breakdown then.
So this is not in any particular order, then maybe outside of how I wrote it.
Okay.
So the time is so non-linear, and that really speaks to the idea that we can go through a day and it feels like 5 minutes, or we can go through a day and it feels like a week and a half. And it's especially relevant after what we just went through with COVID. Right. I remember March and April of 2022 feeling like they were about 19 months, even though they were 60 days. So it's about how you leverage and use time. 1% better. It says 1% every day, 1% better every day, but I think I'm going to change it to 1% better every week, because 365% better in the course of a year is a little too aspirational even for me. But half better over the course of a year you could probably achieve, right? And it's just about, those things take time, right? The improvement we want to make isn't going to happen right now, right? The ability to make the shift and start it can happen right now, but you're not going to see the results of that effort immediately.
Just like
um
workout or starting to
yeah,
work out, losing weight, building muscle, or, changing your eating habits, whatever it is, isn't it 20? What is it? What is it? Do you know the number? Like 20 days to make a habit become a,
So yeah, there's a lot of argument on that, but they say it takes 3 weeks to change a habit. Well, that's a ridiculously simple habit that you're trying to change if it's only 3 weeks. Normally, it's closer to 63 days
okay,
is a statistic that I've seen frequently,
okay,
but it's a couple 3 months is especially if it's something that's deeply ingrained.
like
Um,
smoking or something major, like,
exactly,
mhm,
exactly, or to build the routine of working out. Back to your point.
mhm.
Uh, 54 Shades of Gray is the next one. And that's this idea that, things aren't black and white. they're just not. And a lot of people look at life as it's a series of binary choices, but there's always more than just two choices. And one of those choices could be to choose to do it later, right? Just to push it out. And so if we start looking at everything as, this is really, really, really light gray and looks white, and this is really, really, really dark gray, it looks black, and then there's all these gradients in between, it frees us to make better decisions. And I think that's an important lesson for sure.
Yep.
um, and 54 was my high school jersey number, so hence the reason 54.
I was kind of wondering about that. I'm like, you're not 54 years old yet, so
Not, yeah, not yet. By the time this book becomes a bestseller, I will be there. So
you'll be close. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
that's
Fair
awesome.
to say.
The next one's be more flexible, and that's not just, hey, can you touch your toes, right? It's about how do you approach life? How do you think about things? So I want you to be flexible in your thought process. I want you to be flexible in the actions you take. I want you to be flexible in how you deal with things. So that's an important lesson. In fact, that lesson was so important, I ended up writing it twice in two different ways. I wrote it once and totally forgot that I wrote it. And one day I was out doing leaves, and I was like, I had to stop in the middle of it and just start writing, because I'm like, oh, all this good stuff's being downloaded to me. I gotta go. Um, and I'm not gonna go through all of them,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
again, there's 30 of them.
That brings up, like, do you talk about worry?
I talk a little bit about worry. In fact, the next one is called changing stress,
Ah,
right? So
yep.
that the very next thing on my spreadsheet is changing stress. And
Okay,
then
got it.
there's another one in there called using stress as fuel, right? So it's changing stress is how we look at it, and then using stress as fuel is how we put it to good use, right? Um,
I like it. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think what happens is a lot of us, the anxiety happens because we make it happen. You know what I
100%.
mean? And I'm one of the, I've over the years learned to just let things go. Like we talked about the snow and the weather yesterday. I'm like, whatever. We'll deal with it when the time comes. We can't change. We don't have the power to change. I deal with some people in my life. I don't want to bring the names, but some people in my life that just it's over the top how much and it's not good for you. Stress and worry, and it's things you can't control.
It's a
And I
killer.
think that's the key thing. We can't control it. We just have to let it happen and make and handle it the best we possibly can when the time comes and it happens.
It's so very true. And if there was one recurring theme throughout this book, it's the idea that shit's gonna happen, and
Yep,
your only control is how you respond to it,
exactly.
right? And then just it there's I say that probably six different ways throughout this book, because that's where our power lives. Not in changing the weather, that doesn't exist. Not in changing someone else's behavior, that's an impossibility. We can only change how we deal with or it, whatever it is.
Yep, yep,
Um,
exactly.
I wrote it, when I started writing it, I was referring to it as mindset matters, or mindfulness matters. And one of the sections I ended up writing was called finding harmony in the fucks you give. Because everybody's like, oh, I got
Jeez, I
zero
had to
F's to
say the
give.
word on our show. Just kidding.
I did. And it's like the only time, but it's okay. It's a direct quote. So I'm going to be okay.
True, true,
Um,
exactly.
And so, because everybody's like, I got zero F's to give. And I pose the argument that you have plenty of F's to give. You're just giving them to the wrong things. Right. And so we have to be really mindful of how we use those, how we think about them, how we talk about them, and make sure that the people that we care about, the items that we care about, we're breathing into that, as opposed to just spreading them around all willy-nilly until we get to the point where, like, I'm out, I'm done, I got nothing left. And we need to change how we do that. And so I think that's going to end up being the title of the book. right? So my kid loved it. The lady I'm writing this with loved it,
So say it
and
again. What do you think the title?
it's going to be Finding Harmony in the F's You Give.
Yep, 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 yep. We did talk about that prior to this. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
and
like it. I
I
like it.
think that's gonna, because again, we're targeting a very specific market, and so I think it's gonna end up working out very well.
Now, are you going
So
to actually buy the domain that says
I,
that?
it's an interesting question. Um, I probably need to, right? Because
Do they
it's,
allow that? I don't know. Like,
I wonder. I, I, I don't know.
I
It's
don't either.
great. It'll show up every time someone's searching for porn. My book will show up. Yes, yes, that'll be perfect. So, because of that, the landing page that you asked about, the sign up
Yep.
form, will be at trybean.com/finding harmony. I'm not going to write the whole thing out for that, right?
Perfect.
So
Okay.
trybean.com/finding harmony, and you'll get to I'll probably put this video up there, and I've been doing something on my Facebook Live every Friday morning where I go through a handful, the 7 of the chapters or sections, and talk about each one. So I'll put that stuff up there so people can take a little deeper dive and see what's going on. Um, and get an understanding. And then they can fill out a quick form with their email address so they can end up getting notification as to when the book actually is live. But it's written, right? It's not like I'm working on it. I am working on it, but it's not like I'm thinking about it, I should say. The book's written. So we're going through edit right now. And I don't know exactly the publishing process, and I'm not 100% sure if we're going to go. I have Frank Egan, who's been a guest on the show, published my last book, so I'll probably have him publish this, so there's an actual physical copy. But it may just be straight ebook. We might just keep it digital. So we'll be doing cover design and artwork, all that fun stuff in the
Could
next couple of
actually
weeks.
are you going to do Audible? Because your voice would be good to read it too.
Yeah, I should. I
Hmm.
should. And
Yep.
so that's the one thing I wanted to do with the last book that I still haven't sat down and done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I I'm I'm much more passionate about this book. The book on
Sure.
networking was important to help people network more effectively,
Yep.
but I was never like, oh my God, this is the best book anyone's ever gonna read. I liked it,
Sure.
but I wasn't, and there's 87,000 books like that. So this one, I have a feeling is going to be a very unique voice in the space. Um, one of the topics that's going to be toward the end is called "You'll Slip," and it was literally a text conversation I was having with my daughter. Because she was doing really well, and then she took a step back, and we have to acknowledge that that's gonna happen, and it's okay when it does, because my friend Charlie Wahlberg always says, start today and start again tomorrow, right? Because that's how progress is really, really made.
It kind of brings up, like in my mind, the whole what happened recently with Twitch. So Twitch, who from Ellen DeGeneres show,
Mhm.
I mean, I think this is super good because if people empower themselves ahead of time, something like that, it won't get to that level.
It's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's a really good reminder to check on your friends that look like they're doing great, right? Because, I'm a super happy guy most of the time, and it doesn't change the fact that if I would have known that my life insurance would pay out on suicide, I would have been dead 6 years ago, right? I would have took the wheel 6 years
Mm,
ago, because it was that kind of period of my life. And it's
sure.
like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm worth more dead than alive. So let's just be dead. But I didn't, because I didn't. So I'm happy
Yeah.
about that. And when people hear that, they're like, what, you? Come on, not you. I'm like, yeah, even me. And Twitch, by all rights, seemed like a super happy dude, right?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, you just never know. And I think people need to surround themselves with people that care. I mean, obviously he did too, so we don't know the backstory of everything, but yeah, it's one of those things that it goes back to mindset and like what you're talking about, what you're writing about. It's all it's we just have to turn our mindset differently. Like for instance, I'm very claustrophobic. Very. Like I've had panic attacks in my boat in the cuddy back in the day. Like I'd have panic attacks just because I'm so claustrophobic. And somebody said to me, it's mind over matter. And I have gotten past it now because I just keep thinking, stop doing this to yourself.
Stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
You can control it when you know the tools, and that's what this is going to help with. You mentioned about who you surround yourself with. There's a section in here called Find Your Vibe and Your Tribe, right? And it really dials into that whole piece of, everybody's running around like, I have 1,000 followers, I have 5,000 followers, I have all this other stuff. And none of that matters if they're not the right flipping people, right? And, at our age, if we end up with 5 really good friends, then you kind of win, 5 people that that you can count on right now for whatever it is you need. So that's a life well lived. It's not thousands, it's few. So
Good
that's
point.
good stuff.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Good. So repeat again where they can find the book. We'll have that link up so that basically you're gonna put maybe this video and then some other things and information on that page, and then that's where they can opt in so that they're alerted when it actually is live.
That's right. That's right. So that'll be at Trybean, TRYBEAN.com/finding harmony.
Okay. Awesome. Worst case scenario, you have to buy findingharmony.com. You might want to go look at that, but it's probably already taken.
It's probably gone, unfortunately. And then, I'm talking about it more on my Facebook page than anywhere else. So
Okay.
Facebook.com/Trybean is a good place to kind of keep up to date there. But for the most part, I did make it LinkedIn official. I did mention it on LinkedIn the other day, which was pretty cool. And it's probably on Instagram, but I'm still such a bad Instagrammer. So bad. So,
I'm a bad with LinkedIn. So, we all have our,
sorry, we all have our weaknesses.
Yep.
I probably do need to TikTok. I'm working on my dancing.
Yeah. You don't have to sing and dance to make money on TikTok. That's my best video I've had out there. That's
my
awesome.
best video on TikTok was talking about the ancient Hawaiian art of Ho'oponopono. And the reason it was good was because a bunch of Hawaiians got mad at me for cultural appropriation.
Well, okay. Well, that's funny. That's great. Awesome. Well, I look forward to this, and we will be putting this out once that link is live. When do you think actually we're gonna we'll date it now, but when is the book actually supposed to be ready, do you think? What's your goal?
My goal is that the book is available by Valentine's Day, right? That's
Okay.
our target. And so again, if that's like the published version, the ebook should be out in January, late January.
Okay, got it.
Well, who knows what roadblocks we're going to run into, but like I said, the content's written. Now it's a matter of organizing it, putting it into, a sustainable order, having the transition written, writing the intro, and, whatever it takes to actually make it a published book. We got to do the graphics and some of that stuff.
But, yeah, we've had a couple people on the show that have talked books, correct?
Yeah.
I remember Annie Meehan, and then who's the other?
Caruso.
Caruso's another one. Then I'm thinking somebody else that's your friend too, that does book publishing. We've had on the show.
I'll have to think about that.
Oh, come on. It's bugging me now. Okay, but we've had quite a few people talk about book publishing on here. So if we can find them, we can also put that in the show notes too. Because you've talked about some steps to writing a book as well. So that's kind of cool too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's I'm excited. I really am. I'm looking forward to birthing this little bad boy into the world, right?
Yeah. And if you can help one person, think about it. Like, you know what I mean? Hopefully you help hundreds, but even just one person, if it can make a difference, that's cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for allowing me to talk about this today. It's been my great joy to be working on for the past 6 or 7 weeks, and it'll be ready to rock soon. Oh, Mario Fascini. Mario.
Yes. Thank you. You got
Yep.
it. You got it.
Yeah,
That was on. I'm like, okay. Yep, you got it.
that's the guy right there. Yeah, Mario would laugh at me because it took me 6 weeks to write it. What took you so long,
Taking
man?
me 5 years. He'll still be on my case.
That's awesome.
That's great. Awesome. All right. Well, you guys can find the rest of the episodes, any past episodes. This one was more, talking life, I think, but we have a lot of business talk as well. And we have a lot of life talk and mindset talk and business networking. There's been pretty much a whole spiel of things, but a lot of things for business growth and mindset growth, because business growth is mindset. So bottom line is it's kind of goes hand in hand. So you can find all of those at businessgrowthtime.com/podcast or businessgrowthtime.com/blog. Easy enough. Find all those and, pick your favorite ones. Instagram's our other really, really good place because you just have to look at the graphics. You can see the titles and you can figure out exactly, which one you want to get. The only problem is there's no links in there. So you kind of have to go to the website to get the links, but at least you can scroll through. Thank you guys for joining us. And thanks, Terry. Have a good
Thank
one.
you. See ya.